Alright, RocSports, I'm back with another video. As you can tell by the title, this is an NBA video, and this is my opinion on the biggest surprises and the biggest disappointments of the NBA season thus far. Let's get right into it. So, we pretty much didn't play a quarter of the season or a third of the season, like 30 games in or so. Pretty much got a feel for every team, right? We know who's good, we know who's not. We know who got a chance to be good, we know who has a chance to fall off. You know what I mean? So, I got another video coming out in terms of tier, like power rankings, but based on tiers, like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. But in terms of this video, I want to do, like I said, biggest shockers and disappointments based on teams or performance from teams as well as players. So it could be individual or teams. So let's get right into it. First, I'm gonna go with this biggest shockers. Golden State Warriors. You might have seen from my thumbnail that I had Curry on there. Obviously, Curry's individual performance is not a shocker to me. Curry is the second best point guard of all time in my eyes. So we in a guard-driven league, right? We in a guard-dominated league, especially point guards. And it's not a question, and it hasn't been a question, at least to me, pretty much of this generation, of who's the best point guard of this generation is. As dominant as all the other guards are, there's levels to that. We got all-stars, superstars, and Curry is the top of the top. He's the cream of the crop, for sure. So everything that Curry's been doing, I'm not surprised. But in terms of the team, man, Golden State, man, that's a well-oiled machine, man, the way they looking. They looking very scary. Obviously, they playing without James Wiseman. Obviously, they playing without Klay Thompson. But what they've done so far this season is very impressive. Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, the consistency from those two. Draymond have his moments, obviously. They just solid, man. They so deep. Gary Payton. The list just goes on. I could keep naming guys. Otto Porter, like they just so deep. And they got two great rookies again this year. And they barely even use, you know what I mean, a lottery picks. Like, that's a deep team, man. That's a very deep team. So yeah, Golden State, I got them as one of my biggest shockers as a team. The Memphis Grizzlies, man. The Memphis Grizzlies are currently the 4th seed, and they've been very hot lately. They last 10 games, they 8-2. And yes, it's been without Ja Morant, but I'm excited to see them when Ja comes back. I'm not one of those players that believe they're a better team without Ja, none of that. And I feel that Ja will learn from this in terms of sitting out, being able to watch, you know, his team. And I'm loving what I'm seeing from Memphis, man, because I love Ja Morant. I'm a huge fan of Ja Morant. So definitely another biggest shock for me. The biggest shock for me, Cleveland Cavaliers, man. I gotta take my hat off to them. Cleveland Cavaliers been straight up balling, man. If they can stay healthy, they making the playoffs. And I don't know anybody outside of Cleveland or a Cleveland Cavalier fan, and even them, that would have had Cleveland making the playoffs. And or even aside from that, they would have Cleveland a top 3 seed and we 30 games in. Cleveland is 19-12, the 3rd seed in the East, and they 8-2 in their last 10 games. They're on a 6-game win streak. And that's with them dealing with injuries. Cleveland, I'm loving what I'm seeing. Darius Garland, the improvement, constantly improving, constantly getting better. You can argue that Darius Garland is a top 3 guard in the East, for sure. We go, obviously, Trae Young, number 1. I'm not counting Kyrie. If you want to count James Harden as a point guard, cool. But who can you say is number 2? A clear-cut number 2, LaMelo? I mean, I feel as though, yes, that's true. But I'm not basing this on potential. Right now, Darius Garland is balling. Yes, LaMelo's balling too. But people don't watch the Cavaliers. You get what I'm saying? Tune into the Cavaliers and watch them, man. They're a nice little team, man. They definitely shocking me. Another shocker, maybe for the world, but not for me. If you go back and look at my previous videos, everybody know that I had the Bulls as a top 4 seed in the East. Preseason pick, I called it. A lot of people was on the Bulls bandwagon, don't get me wrong. But a lot of people, too, at the same time was dogging the Bulls. ESPN voted DeMar DeRozan as the worst signing of the year. Of the offseason. Today's date is Monday, and it's December 20th. So we fresh off the Sunday night game on the Lakers playing the Bulls. And DeRozan, first game back from COVID, dropped 38. Without Zach LaVine playing. An efficient 38. And we pulled out the dub. And they called that the worst signing of the postseason. ESPN, that is. And you had your people like, I ain't even gonna do that. But you had a lot of people that didn't have the Bulls making the playoffs. The Bulls are currently second in the East. 18-10, they 6-4 in the last 10. Obviously, they've been hit by COVID a little bit. Well, very hard. The injury bug slightly, but mostly COVID. But they shaking back, man. The Bulls are, they balanced. They are very balanced. And once again, I had them being a top 4 seed, still early. But I think it's safe to say the Bulls are going to make the playoffs. I think it's safe to say the Bulls are going to be a top 4 seed, at least in my eyes. If they could be number 4, like I had them, but I think they're going to be a top 4 seed. And right now, they're even better than what I thought. So that's still a shot, like I say, for the NBA world more, or the sports world more so, but not for me. So that's 4 right there. I'm going to just do 5. And for my 5th shot, this may surprise a lot of people. The Phoenix Suns. As well as I said how Golden State shocked me as a team, not Curry by himself, the same for the Phoenix Suns for me. I wasn't sold on the Suns last year. I know they went to the finals and I respect it. But I think that a lot of people would agree with me that if Kawhi was healthy or if LeBron, AD, was full, that one of those two teams would have knocked Phoenix off. We could be wrong. We'll never know. But I wasn't believing of that, and I wasn't sold on Phoenix. And they picking up right where they left off, and they are very dominant. It's not a question of who's the top 2 teams in the league right now. Whether you want them 1 or 2, whichever way, Golden State and Phoenix are the top 2 teams in the league, without question. Phoenix is currently 24-5, 8-2 in their last 10 games, and a 3-game win streak. And we know early in the season they had started, what was they on, a 15-16 game win streak? That's very impressive. And that's after them starting 1-3. So they started 1-3 and they 24-5. They rolling, man. Phoenix is the real deal. So yeah, that's 5 teams that I felt like that's very worthy, playoff worthy. That's shockers to me in terms of them as a team. And yeah, let's get right into the disappointments now. Okay, first disappointment is 2 people under the same banner, so to say. The Nets, not as a team, because obviously they still number 1, regardless of their issues or whatever you want to say about the Nets, they're still the number 1 seed in the East. Mostly because of Kevin Durant, but nonetheless, it's what's expected. It's what's expected. But biggest disappointment, James Harden and Kyrie Irving, for me. Not number 1. I'm not ranking none of these. I'm just naming. Obviously, for Kyrie not being there, I get personal reasons, but it's still a disappointment for him not to be there. That's all I want to say on that. James Harden play. I don't know if this is because he's out of shape, if it's because he's still trying to find rhythm within his team. Whatever the reason is, his reasoning is for him not playing well, he's still been a disappointment. He had his moments so far this season, but overall, I think Brooklyn fans, Houston fans, any James Harden stands, or just any sports fans that know the game of basketball and know James Harden knows that he has been a disappointment this season. Does that mean he's been one of the worst point guards, anything? No. But he's definitely been a disappointment this season. Absolutely. And they're going to need him to pick it up. Yes, Kyrie's coming back, but they're going to need James Harden to pick it up. He has to find his way, and he has to be efficient doing it. Got to cut down on the turnovers, man. Has to. I know he's a high turnover guy, mostly because of usage and all of that, but come on, man. You a superstar. You're one of the best players in the league with tons of experience. You have to be better. It's that simple. Just because you're on the arguably the most talented team, well, the most talented team, that's, you gotta do better. We need more from you. The next two teams are in the same boat for me. For different reasons, but they're in the same boat for me. So my next two disappointments are the Hawks and the Knicks. If you go back and look at my Bulls video a couple months ago, I said the Bulls will be better than the Hawks and the Knicks. Obviously, we just finished the third of the season. Still got a lot of basketball to go is my point. But the Bulls are better than the Hawks and the Knicks. But I had the Hawks and the Knicks both being 5th and 6th, not 11th and 12th. The Hawks have too much talent, way too much talent, to be 11th in the East, man. To be 14 and 15, 4 and 6 in your last 10 games, that's ridiculous. They have too much talent. I just said they got the best point guard in the East, a top 5 point guard in the league, and Trae Young. They got to be better. They got to be better, man. They got to turn this thing around. They are much better than that. The same for the Knicks. Same for the Knicks. They have to be consistent. I thought that the Kemba Walker acquisition would help them out a lot. He's been hit and miss. But they're another team, and they have too much talent. Are they loaded with talent? No, but they have too much talent to be where they are in the East. To be 12th in the East, the Knicks have too much talent for that. There's no reason why the Hawks and the Knicks should be behind the Raptors. Yes, they have Scotty Barnes, who's been impressing, and Siakam's been back and finding his feet, his footing and all of that. Obviously, Van Fleet, Anunoby, all of that. No, the Hawks and Knicks should be better than the Raptors. They should be better than the Hornets. They should be better than the Sixers. The Sixers been mostly playing without pretty much Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. And Tobias Harris for a lot of the time. And they are still better than them. Boston, they've been without Jaylen Brown and people. They still better than them. I understand everybody's been hit by the injury bug or COVID, whatever the reason. It's the unknown. We can't control that. But again, the Hawks and the Knicks have too much talent, in my opinion. They have more talent than those teams and should be better than those teams. As well as Washington. They shouldn't be behind Washington. So yeah, the Hawks and Knicks, they got to figure this out too. I heard Julius Randle say they got to look themselves in the mirror. Absolutely. RJ Barrett has been improving. But they need Mitchell Robinson. They need him to be on the floor. They need him to be consistent. D Rose has arguably been their best player. D Rose, RJ Barrett, then Julius Randle. Julius Randle, for whatever reason, he still seems like he's adjusting to becoming the man in terms of seeing double teams and when in terms of getting the field, letting the game come to him. He seems as though he's pressing the bit, The Knicks are very tough. They are still one of those teams that can beat anybody, but they can also lose to anybody. That's not a good thing. I think the Knicks should be 5th or 6th seed, as well as the Hawks. My next disappointment is Zion Williamson, man. I'm a Duke fan. I'm a Duke basketball fan. Heavy. And so obviously I want to see my guys win. RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish. I mean, the list, there's tons of Duke guys in the league, but in terms of lately, the guys that's been coming out, Zion has been a disappointment, man. Obviously, his weight, he can't control his weight for whatever reason. I'm just not understanding. I understand he's young, a big guy, whatever the case. He's naturally a big, solid guy, you know what I mean? But he got to be able to control his eating habits, man. You're a professional. You're getting paid millions. Hire a chef. Get a nutritionist, man. Get on the schedule. Zion has to do better. If it's not one thing, it's another. His knees, his ankles, his hand, you know what I mean? And this is for him to have these problems at his age, it's definitely a big disappointment and a big concern. If you're a Pelicans fan, Zion fan in general, if you're just a basketball fan, you have to be worried for Zion's future. Because if he's already having these setbacks, it just came out not too long ago, he's out another 4 to 6 weeks. And that's off of previously been announced he's to be back in another 4 to 6 weeks. You know what I mean? So he hasn't played all season long, and his weight is just bad. His weight is just bad. So Zion for sure has been a disappointment, which has made the Pelicans one of the worst teams. Again, I root for my Duke guys. Brandon Ingram, he's balling. Nobody would know though because he's on a bad team, and it should be that way. But the Pelicans are currently 10-21. They 5-5 in their last 10 games, but they're 10-21, man. That's ridiculous. Zion has to get himself together, and he got to do it quick. They need Zion back before All-Star break, and they need him to be the number 1 pick, that franchise-changing player that everybody thought he would be. So he got to get it together. He's definitely been a big disappointment. And last but not least, I can go on and on in terms of disappointments and shockers. Obviously, you can do that for every team in terms of player and as well as franchises. But one of the biggest is the Lakers. Lake Show. I called this too, man. Disappointed. Very disappointed. The Lakers are 16-15, 7th in the West. 6-4 in their last 10 games, and they lost 2. They're on a 2-game losing streak. Just like how I said about the Hawks and the Knicks, the Lakers right now should not be behind the Nuggets without Jamal Murray, without Michael Porter Jr. They should not be behind them. Without Jokic for that point of time, Like, they should not be behind the Nuggets. The Clippers without Kawhi. Why? Why are the Lakers behind them? Why did the Memphis Grizzlies? Why are the Lakers behind the Memphis Grizzlies? How many Hall of Famers do the Lakers have? I understand that the Lakers been hurt. I understand that they had COVID problems. Everybody do. This is professional sports where nobody feels sorry for you. Lakers fans has to be honest with themselves, man. This ain't working. Something has to change. You can just sit up here and say, all this time before they were saying, oh, we just want to wait till some of our guys get back. Understandable. Yes, LeBron has missed a lot of time. Yes, AD is missing time. He has missed time, and obviously he's going to miss a lot more time. Yes, Kendrick Nunn hasn't played. Yes, Taylor Horton Tucker was out. We get all of that. But the Lakers have too much talent to be where they are. Seeing them lose to teams like Minnesota and the Bulls twice, the Pistons, the Thunder, the Mavs, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure about the Mavs, but and it needs to be blowouts for the Lakers. Like the other day, they just played the Minnesota without Anthony Edwards, who just came off making 10 threes in the game. You get blown out by them without him, who's arguably their best player now. Karl Anthony Towns, they neck and neck. Karl Anthony Towns is still top notch, one of the best bigs in the league, for sure. But Anthony Edwards is coming. And for the Lakers to lose to them, and not only lose, but get blown out, that's very disappointing. And the Lakers has to be honest with themselves and say that this is not working. Them as a team has been very disappointing. Westbrook individually has been very disappointing from the standpoint of, I know who Westbrook is as a player. I didn't expect him to turn into a shooter, 3-point shooter, a great, efficient field goal percentage type player. None of that. I didn't expect that. But at the same time, again, we still just 30 games in, but I'm only speaking off what we're saying. We have enough to, to give our thoughts about. Westbrook is number 1, if I'm not mistaken. He's number 1 or 2 in turnovers. Gotta clean it up. Lakers, another team that has too much talent. I get they're older, but again, let's get back to the Hall of Famers. LeBron is a for sure Hall of Famer. Absolutely, obviously, right? AD, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Melo, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Westbrook, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Rondo, I believe he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Dwight Howard, I believe he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. That's 6 Hall of Famers, man. 6. And they this bad. What can you say? You can blame Frank Vogel all you want. This is enough experience, enough talent on this roster to figure this out this far into the season, in my opinion. I said before that I didn't see a team beating the Lakers because I didn't see this Golden State team coming. I didn't see this Phoenix team coming. It'd still be interesting to see the Lakers match up with Phoenix at full strength. For some reason, I like that matchup. But Golden State, if Klay comes back and he's anywhere near being Klay Thompson, the league is in trouble. And that Golden State and Brooklyn matchup is going to be great, if that's what we get. It's going to be star-studded, and that'll be great. But the Lakers have to make some trades. Even if they go on a 10-game win streak right now, I think they have to make some trades. You can't look in the mirror and say we feel comfortable where we at, and we can compete with all the best teams. We can compete with the Golden States and the Phoenix and the Brooklyns and the Chicagos, and you know what I mean? No, they got to be honest. So whether that's trading Westbrook, whether that's packaging some guys, try to get back some guys, they gotta be honest. You can't just say we gonna just give it a go and see how this goes. Look for the draft. They don't have no draft picks or none of that. Lakers have to be honest with themselves. Something has to be done. LeBron is at that stage of his career where he's still great, don't get me wrong, but he's not the best player in the league no more. And that's okay. Somebody in year 19 shouldn't be. In my opinion, there should be something wrong with the league that, in terms of talent-wise, if a player in year 19 is still the best player in the league. And I think that we all can agree that LeBron is not. He could be top 3, he could be number 2, he can be top 5, wherever you have him. But I don't think he's the best player in the league. So I'm saying all that to say, I think LeBron is at the point where he can carry a team. I think he still can, but I think he needs that second and third best player more consistently than he did in the past. You get what I'm saying? So again, Westbrook, he has to be more efficient. He has to be better. They need Anthony Davis to come back and beat AD. AD hasn't been himself all season long. So I'm gonna leave it at that. It's 5 disappointments and 5 shockers so far this season a little bit past the quarter pole. So yeah, like I said, stay tuned for my next video. I got another NBA video coming out that's ranking the NBA teams by tiers for me. This is RocSports. I'm checking out. All of my boxing, NFL, and NBA fans, like, share, and subscribe, man. Keep coming back. I'm gonna be dropping more content.